Hello and welcome to the Inquisitorial Archive. My name is Kevin Rourke and today I'm going to be reviewing Rites of Battle for Deathwatch, published by Fantasy Flight Games. The Rites of Battle book is, I'll be honest, if you really want to play, there's a lot of optional stuff in it, but at this stage I think it's just right off, I'll say it's a good buy. Not everything here is as good as other sections of it, but I think it's quite good fun. And first thing I'm going to say to you is you can randomly generate a chapter of this. It's not that fun. I know in Eric's UK's review, which you should look up, I don't agree with everything he says, but he actually does a good review in it as well. In Eric's EORYX UK, in his review, he says he didn't seem to particularly get into it, but the big part is when you've got the GM and a player sitting down, just doing up the random rolls, suddenly you start sparking off each other different things. I've had players come up with some fantastic, and being a player and seeing other players come up with some fantastic, unique chapters that are just complete. You roll up a couple of random things and things start to click. And I've seen guys going, hey, I like this particular thing, and my guys are meant to be particularly on this way. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Protectorate of Menot from War Machine. You know, I'm going to steal a lot of stuff from Protector of Menot. I'm going to steal some of their prayers because it actually suits these guys. They're like crazier than the Black Templars in some ways. I'm going to steal the Protector of Menot prayers and I'm just going to substitute in the word God Emperor for Menot. And it works. I've seen other people just do, you can do great stuff with it. If you start sparking off each other, you can come up with some great stuff. Just unique chapters that are new. Plus it means that why are all the first founding chapters and one or two other chapters doing people there? You can do something. Hi, I'm from this chapter, and the great part is nobody's read a story about them. Nobody's in different stuff. Unless you're not doing something too outlandish for a Space Marine. They haven't read a book about your chapter. There's no codex for your chapter. They can't give out your chapter can be odd to a certain extent. In some ways, you're gonna start bending the bounds of disbelief if you go too far with it. But it's good. You've got different bits on combat doctrine. You can get special, your beliefs, everything, your allies, things. The chapter name, I think, is you're just going to go up on your own name. But you get your own advancement table rolling these up. It's quite good, tremendously good fun. It comes up with a lot of the base details you need from. Another good thing is the Imperial Fists. They're in the core. They're quite good at the siege, as you'd expect if you know them. They've got their own solo modes and squad modes, and their abilities, I have to admit, they've got Forbidden Lord Treater Legionnaires. They got special ability, a talent called Siegecraft, which they can buy, Hatred Traitor Legionnaires, Eye of Vengeance, Period of Strategies. They've got their own psychic powers for their psychers, and their own chapter trappings and stuff, you know, and it all makes sense. I quite like it, and it's great. And there's one thing I have to say is, like, why doesn't it have Exemplar of Honor? Why not turn this out? Because if there's one other chapter, if there's one chapter we should really have it, in my opinion, it's Imperial Fist. I'm not an Imperial Fist player. I think the Imperial Fist, if the Ultimate should get Exemplar of Honor, so should the Imperial Fist. The next cool bit is you have successor chapters. It's basically like, look, we're not going to be able to do big armor for everyone for quite some time. So they have open up with a nice Flesh Tear Assault Ring. Although it's probably not too clear on the camera there, but it gives options for characters of different chapters, like famous ones that have been there for a while, like Flesh Tears, or they've got Consecrators for the Dark Ages, etc. And how to augment them. Some of these are beneficial, some of these are bad. For example, the Flesh Tears one, you get Flesh Render for free, which you could buy anyways as a Blood Angel for 500 XP, and you get -15 Fellowship. That's not positive. Somebody's give you just a nice little good thing, like the Genesis chapter, you get Peer Ultramarines. No downside. You're mechanically better than an Ultramarine. But the Flesh Tears, you're coming out with for something that you can get for 500 XP anyway at a -15 Fellowship. A lot of these chapters, like the Flesh Tears, get updated in one of the future books called Honor the Chapter, where they're more fleshed out and given more material to work with. But it's quite good. It's quite fun, and it gives you advice on using Deathwatch in Rogue Trader, or bring elements of Rogue Trader and stuff into Deathwatch or Dark Heresy. The next section is Deeds and Foundest Distinctions. Deeds, they're chapter specific deeds, there are your specialization specific deeds, and they're pretty cool. Not for everyone, but I really like them. Some of them, you have to pay XP for these. If you get them character creation, you can only have one. But some of them are chapter specific, so you, for being one of them, for example, is the only one that you can take for 2 different chapters. Is the is for the Dark Angel Space, this Ritual Jewel Fighter, and you get this little table to roll up on, or you can pay more expensive than you would have, and like as opposed to 100 XP, you can pay 300 XP. Pick the result, you get bonuses, or you can actually end up with penalties on this table. But I imagine most people are just going to pay 300 XP by the bullet. One of the results is you get swift attack, but you get rival for the other group, so you get penalties on all your social interaction checks with their group. And because you're Deathwatch, even if there's one on your group of players, there could easily be one in amongst the NPCs, which I don't think the GM should send them. Like if somebody's going picking that, don't tell them what alignment, what chapters the guys are from until they arrive there. And it's like, oh, well, this is a bit awkward. That guy, I have -10 penalty on all my interaction checks with my watch captain. He's giving me the stink eye. You also, if you're generic ones, some to do with salience things, they can give you additional talents, sometimes stat boosts, not very often, additional talents or skills, insanity points, corruption points. I quite like them. They work out well. One of the cool ones is battle damage. I decided to take that one for, I was playing a black console, which I'm currently playing at the moment, but the black console, he's from a second final chapter. I had rolled up Chorus armor to talk about later. And I said, wait, he's from a second final chapter, he's got Chorus armor. So I said, hey, one thing that came up for the character was that he knows for a fact his armor was used in the Great Crusade. Towards the end of the Great Crusade, it was one of these suits of armor, so there's great pride in that. And to help represent this, I took battle damage, which battle damage lets you pick an additional armor history. Works out quite well. You also get Deeds of Disdain is another one. You still, of course, can only have one deed. Not you don't get one. You can't pick one of each, and they all cost money. Deeds of Disdain are bad things, but the bad things are like you can have Reclamation of the Lost Lone Survivor, Gene anomaly. Reclamation. These are all bad things. Things that will bring you into question. You can take Reclaiming the Lost. Is you are responsible, or you've taken the responsibility for the loss of a chapter relic. This is a huge thing amongst the wire sighting of Space Marines, and it's pretty cool. You're getting penalties for these different things, and you're paying XP for it. Although I think the XP paying you could kind of waive, because although sometimes you get a little bonus of it, you're getting horrible penalties. For example, I took Lone Survivor with the aforementioned Black Console. You take a minus to your fellowship, -3. You take the Hatred, choose one talent. Whoever basically was responsible for your battle brothers dying, you weren't even necessarily able to reclaim their bodies. You were the only one to come back from a mission. And oh no, you have to get to it. Especially the downside, as well as the -3 to a stat, you end up with, you have to get to 60 renown or higher, which is quite a long time, before you're allowed to lead a mission, unless you locate the gene seeds and of the brothers that fell, that you were the lone survivor from. So it's character building stuff. It's good. The next section is distinctions, which it talks about you can earn these because your character, you know, is a member of the Sanguinary Guard or a Wolf Guard or various different things. I haven't seen anybody employ it like that. The GM's supposed to go off and make a package, and they've got some sample ones. You make a package of all these different distinctions, the marks of distinction, which some of them are social based, command based, combat based, and they're supposed to put them together package. And then it's like, now you can pay 4,000 XP and you buy the lot together. I've never seen anyone actually do that. But what I have seen is a GM going, hey, you know, your character actually started role playing in this way, and he's worked on other things. I'm going to let you take this distinction, and the GM is the one who decides. And he starts to, and you know what, it actually worked out quite well. One of the characters, like, seemed really honourable in one of the games, and he was allowed to take Mighty Lineage. Worked out fantastically well. He started giving both cohesion when he's the, you see there another member is the. You just have some nice bonuses that can really reflect if you've been playing a character well. Like one of the guys got Watcher, who's a Raven Guard sniper, and he got Watcher because he's always being observant of the different things and actually role playing, being observant, trying to take notes of different stuff. So it works out pretty well. I got one of my characters got tactical experience. So he's quite good at leading people. That he gives a bonus to the group's cohesion, and when he's in command, he gets a bonus to command tests and tactics tests. And as well as this, he's helping the group coordinate so much that you do extra magic damage to hordes. And I got that with the character because the character honestly was, even when he's not kill team leader, helping people coordinate do things. A lot of the bonus is only taking effect when he's kill team leader, but it's still cool. I was like, hey, we had GM actually thought I was doing well enough with that it works out. course, you can just use it the way it is in the book. There's no problem with that. And next you have advanced specialities. You've got a lot of them are different things that normally exist in chapters. Like you got the Deathwatch Forge Master. Most he's going to have Deathwatch in front of him. Deathwatch Epistolary, Black Shield. Black Shield is a cool option for the role-playing side of it. You have a character who's coming in. The advanced table, I'll get to talking about advanced tables. Basically, you can see I'm not happy already with them, with some of them. But Black Shield, you've abandoned your chapter for whatever reason. Maybe your chapter went over to Chaos. Maybe you, in fact, were a renegade for a while. Maybe it's not always a bad reason. It actually goes into some very good reasons. But maybe sometimes your chapter has been so heavily devastated that it's effectively extinct. You don't want your actions to sully the memories of your brothers. So you decide that you will present yourself to Watch Station. The Watch Commander talks to you. Your armor all painted black, your heraldry all gone over you. It's a big thing. And you basically present yourself forward to them and they talk to you about it. They do different things. It's bad for them. Nobody should ever ask you what chapter you used to be. Although you could end up telling a brother. It's only the GM and the player who should know. And it works out pretty well because you have... but the character who leaves their chapters extinct, you don't want to sully their memories, so you just leave their memories an honorable thing. You've moved on, but you're primarily, even though the player should be somewhat wary of the character, and it might be somewhat grim, or they might even take off their helmet because if they're a spade, they could decide I'm going to keep my helmet or wear robes when the power armor isn't appropriate because their character is originally a space wolf. They got possibly yellow eyes, they've definitely got big fangs, it's kind of a dead giveaway, or they're a salamander with pitch black skin and red eyes. It's gonna be noticeable. But it's pretty cool. It's something the GM and the player can work with together. You've got the champion. Somebody give additional special abilities, which are pretty cool. Some people are complaining about champion is it's a close combat one, and a lot of people who are playing Assault Marines are going to go, oh yeah, I'd actually love to go into champion and basically be the guy who challenges the big guy, and fighting guys would be really good at single combat. Stuff in it is extremely expensive. Now this is perfectly fine if you're playing a tactical marine or things, because a lot of these options don't come up in your class. But for Assault Marines, like, this is ridiculously expensive to get this stuff, and I can just wait a couple of ranks. But the prestige, they do talk about they've got RP sections for all these. The prestige is great. You've got Deathwatch Chaplain. I'll get back to him in a bit. You could just get some great abilities with Deathwatch Chaplain. All these are like very characterful stuff. Plus, you can sometimes get additional. You've paid. It's unlike Rogue Trader things. These are advanced specialists. They aren't alternate ranks, so you don't replace rank with this. You pay a certain amount of XP once you've met prerequisites for, and you get to GM's okay. You might get additional equipment, like with the Chaplain. You get your Crow's Arcanum, your Rosarius, and your Skull Helm, and off to war you go, kind of a thing. And you gain access to an additional advanced table, and you might get a special ability or something, which work out pretty well. I'm playing a Chaplain. My character, I originally thought he was going to go Watch Captain, because the character developed in a certain way, he became Watch Captain. They've got Deathwatch Dreadnought. You have to get up to 60 now for this thing. It's not going to come to play most times, and I do talk about role playing the Dreadnought. That you don't just, your character doesn't just become a Dreadnought and go to, you should make up a new character. But on missions where it's appropriate, the GM might say, hey, does somebody want to role play, Jim's old character, the Dreadnought, or Jim, do you want to role play him alongside your new character for the moment? But it should be shared around, does kind of say. So on missions that are appropriate, it could be kind of cool to bring it in, or even just to have him in the background could be cool. Plus you get stats if you do to drag him into combat. The GM might go, I'll just have him there, but when you're talking to him, the player can talk about kind of thing. Deathwatch Epistolary doesn't really make him that much more powerful, but he gets access to a few extra forbidden lores, and he gets access to specific psychic powers he can only get through being a Deathwatch Epistolary. You can only take one advanced specialization, although you should kind of waive it when one of those is the Black Shield, because that's replacing your chapter effectively. It's not mechanically the most beneficial, but you got a cool thing where you can benefit from other people using their chapter squad mode abilities. And the thing is, you don't have to stay Black Shield forever. If you somehow fix the reason you've become a Black Shield, like you became a Black Shield because you lost a relic or something like that, or some great dishonor. If you fix what the problem was, you can you revert to basically your regular Marine of your chapter, but you've had this cool background thing. So it's like it's a nice option. If handled well, it can be a great aid. You've got the Forge Master is Tech Marine only. One instance, it's quite good. You get some lovely stuff with it. One of the things you can get Trade Forge Master, which you can only get through this, and Trade Forge Master lets you this skill. You can use it in place of almost any other trade because you're a Forge Master. You know how to make loads of stuff. It's pretty cool if you get your characters and stages with it. As well as that, you get the Master Armor special ability. With the Master Armor special ability, at the start of the mission, you pick a weapon and you can give it or take away certain penalties to one weapon. So I've seen people, you can take away the unwieldy or unbalanced trait off a weapon, or you can do other things. It's pretty cool. You can start doing it. The next is Keeper, which is it's a pretty cool pretty cool advanced specialization. Because the Deathwatch doesn't have enough librarians and tech brains and different people, because most chapters don't send large amounts of them, they've had to invent the role of the Keeper, which are guardians of the chapter's history and their relics and various different things, because they don't have enough librarians, and the ones they utilize are kind of using for their advanced special skills. That doesn't mean you can't have librarian keepers and the librarians for those special roles. It's just they've had to make this role, which is kind of pretty cool. In one of the games, when the librarian actually, although he was thinking about more combat thing, actually his character developed the way he went for the Keeper, so he's a librarian keeper, which is pretty cool. You get all these special abilities. There's a Kill Marine, which is a great one for their assassins, diplomats kind of thing. There's a bit of an odd thing that they say that both the Keepers and the Kill Marines are they're both diplomats kind of thing, but I suppose it depends on the circumstances they're employed in. The Kill Marines, assassin, diplomats, they get some nice special abilities. And once more, you have to pay to get into it. It's 1000 XP. You have to have Fellowship 40. You can't be a Tech Marine or an Apothecary. But you can get this at rank 1. You could actually start off as a Kill Marine. One of the cool things is you get an ability called One Man Killing Team, where there's a select group of squad modes and you're trained to use these squad modes by yourself. It doesn't entirely make sense, but you know, if people are happy with it, go with it. I've no big problem. Just Deathwatch Watch Captain, which what you see is what you get. You get some extra special abilities. One of the annoying things is that you need to have the prerequisites are rank 5. Okay, fair enough. You need to be fairly high up there. 60 or none. Okay, fair enough. You must distinguish yourself a leader at least one mission. Okay, you need to have gotten the Crux Terminus, which guidelines is kind of like 40 or 60 renown. I think you should get. It costs 3,000 next week. The one thing is you need to have a command of plus 20. Ultramarines can get their command up to plus 20 very easily. Other people can't. I think you have to wait till beyond rank 5 to actually get this up, unless it's coming up in your chapter event scheme. You don't get this quicker as a tactical, even though you start off with command. It irks me. I've seen a lot of GMs saying I'm going to waive it because only Ultramarines are going to be able to be watch captains at any reasonable pace, unless you're did a random blow up chapter. I think there's 1 or 2 tables where you can get your command up to plus 20, but it's like, oh yeah, no, the Blood Angel can't be a watch captain because he hasn't got work. There's First Company Veteran. It's got some cool stuff in it. All these have unique special abilities. First Company Veteran is, if you don't think you really fit into somebody else and you want to go for one First Company Veteran, it's great. It's got something for everybody. Situation with it. One of the annoying things about advanced specialities is you end up Chaplain. I told you I'd get back to Chaplain. This is a perfect example of it. You have to rank 4 to get a Chaplain. For 1500 XP in Chaplain, you can get the Scourge of Heretics talent. At rank 4 in General the Space Marine Advances, you can get, or it's either General or Deathwatch, you can get the Scourge of Heretics talent for 1500 XP. It annoys me no end. And you see it repeating these different things. The Watch Captain. Let's read out the first 4 things you can get. Charm. Okay, Charms 200 XP. It's much cheaper than the other things. Command plus 10, command plus 20. But don't you have to have a command of plus 20 to get into it? This is fine if you're bringing down the command thing to just command trained, but they repeatedly put it in here. The Black Shield doesn't get much in his advanced scheme, but it gets some other nice stuff. The equipment section, you get extra weapons, different things. It works out. You get some extra war gear, it's fine. The coolest thing you get up in here, the best thing you get here is the armor, the power armor. and the marks. You got a table showing off almost all the different partings with rules for the different ones. You don't get I think earlier than Maximus. And things with Maximus, even though it's got really crap protection compared to a quill armor, you get more armor histories. You get 3 armor histories with it, and you get a bonus to your fellowship checks when dealing with other Space Marines, because they're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You're from that armor's from back in the day, the golden days of the Great Crusade. And some of it, like the Corvus armor as well, gets 2 armor histories and things, and it works out. Even the errant armor, you can the errant armor, you got the Gorget, so when they hit you in the head, you have a chance of using your chest armor set because you got this big Gorget around your face, and you get a +5 to command, because most Space Marine chapters only give it to sergeants and other officers, because, well, they don't have enough of it to go around. You can randomly roll up on a table. Some GMs might let you pick, although I've known some GMs who are quite nervous about it, but it works out pretty cool. The one thing I have to say is, when you look at a quill armor, you're standing there, like, you look over errant armor, which is just better than you, because it's got the same number, it's got everything you have except for it's got this Gorget thing and a +5 to command, and it's got +1 armored chest. It's better than you. Then you look over at the Corvus, and the Corvus has 1 less armored chest, but he's got 2 armor histories, and he's got an additional +5 from his auto senses onto seeing stuff, and he's got a +10 to his agility. The Maximus and the Heresy armor, you can make armors, it's just the Quilla kind of loses out here a bit. But it is cool just to go with it, roll on the table. You can come with a small house rule if you want to make it. I know one GM who suggested, if you want to make the quill armor better, he says with the quill armor, because it's so common among Space Marines, that you get a +10 to tech use test to repair it, which isn't necessarily that important the whole time, but when you have to repair this armor very quickly to make it environmentally sealed, that +10 could be very handy. Or another GM, I kind of suggested another GM, he liked the idea of it for Aquila. When you're rolling on your table for your armor history, you roll 2d10, and you still only get 1 armor history, but you get to pick between the 2 of them. It's like, okay, I think that's reasonable. He seemed to like the idea. I know not all players have, but it's pretty cool. You also get additional power armor history tables, which expands things out. Make sure you don't have too much doubling up, because with 1 table with 10 results, and you're gonna have maybe 5 players, you could easily start up with doubling up. But the additional armor history is pretty cool. The skill of the Artificer table, be warned about it, because there's one thing I say: if you're rolling up armor histories for Artificer armor from the main book, do not use skill of Artificer table, because sometimes it's like, oh yeah, you've got gauntlets of Zerion, which were taken from Maximus armor, because they have to Frankenstein armor together and can do a Chimera job with them. They've got these gauntlets of Zerion, which your chapter claims, or some of the furthest out the Great Crusade, and the Maximus armor was that these are from, was one of the first ones out. So you fight even harder, you get these bonuses. But you get 7 armor in the arms, which normally is like, oh, I'm going from 8 to 7, that's fine. Hey, this is pretty cool. It's annoying when, if you're trying to roll up Artificer armor, that's a drop of 5, not 1. So I'd kind of personally, they've got, well, just don't use it for specifically Artificer armor. Or obviously Terminator armor, because Terminator I think gets armor histories as well. You have additional relics for the Deathwatch here, which is pretty cool. Some of these are quite mad, but they're relics, they're meant to be. And you get your vehicles rules. The vehicle rules are pretty good. I know I'm running on a bit long, I'll try and move myself on. I quite like this book. The vehicle rules, they're a bit more expanded than the Into the Storm ones for Rogue Trader. They give you most of the iconic Space Marines ones, you know, including the Storm Raven, because I said the Blood Angels shared it with them. It's like okay, fair enough. And you also end up with the HIV actual stats for a Warhound Titan, including giving a little background for a particular Warhound Titan using the Crusade. It was like, okay, that's pretty cool. If you ever want to, you just put pointy stars and then go, hey, look, it's a Chaos Titan. If you really want to scare the crap out of your players, they have different critical hits. Instead of getting extra damage, you roll on a table on this thing, which is pretty cool. They also have some Chaos equipment stats for Chaos, like a Defiler and Chaos Dreadnought and stuff. It was pretty cool. Plus Tau equipment. Obviously, there's nothing for the Tyranids, because they don't have vehicles. They just have even bigger, scarier monsters. Additional section for Advice on Renown works out pretty well. You got section on Honors, which don't really give you a mechanical bonus for guild, although I have seen GMs go, oh yeah, well, you've gotten the Marksman's Honor because you're a really skilled marksman, so you're going to be given access to some weapons that we don't normally give access to, these particular guns and stuff. It's pretty cool. And the section on other uses for acquisition for additional assets, whether they be Imperial Navy, Inquisition, other Space Marine, Imperial Guard forces. Pretty cool. They started using this idea here, and they go into a bit more in some of the other books. It's quite nice. And they introduce the notion that solo modes can be active and passive. So some ones that are passive, they don't damage the cohesion of the unit when you use them. For example, the Space Foes senses. How is that affecting the squad in a bad way? It's not. So some of these just passive ones. The more powerful ones are active, so it's a good way of balancing out. It's pretty cool. You end up in the last section, they're talking about Watch Fortress Ariak. And I think some adventure scenes, which I've barely looked at, to be honest. But you end up with some nice stuff here. The Watch Fortress Ariak, I haven't used it overly much myself. I like to use some of the other watch stations in the Jericho Reach. I think it's kind of cool to go, because a lot of, you know, but it's a good default place if you want to have lots of people going through hustle and bustle. I prefer the more low-key having guys there. It's good. There is stuff here that will annoy you. Like I said, the stuff with the chaplain, like Scourge of Heretics, you're going to come across that with the advanced specialities. It's annoying. But it's pretty cool to have the options there. It's not necessary to have this book, but it really gives you a lot more options. I love the deeds. I particularly love the chapter generation. I think I went for too long at the start, but the random chapter generation is quite cool. A lot of fun. If you run through a Deathwatch game and you can only buy one other book, because you can make up back and forth things, it's got some quite cool stuff. It'll be this one, and beyond that, I'd start talking about some of the books like Jericho Reach and stuff, depending on what chapters people want to play. But this is a lot of fun. Has its problems, but the overall works out pretty well, and I do use it quite regularly myself. So I hope that's giving you some food for thought. I'll see you again. Goodbye.